For quarter after quarter after quarter, the Los Angeles apartment sector has lagged well behind the national pace of recovery. Until now. Surprisingly big revenue growth for Los Angeles in third quarter 2011. Welcome to Apartment Market Dynamics from MPF Research. I'm Jay Parsons with your Los Angeles update. Well, it's a new quarter, and that means we have fresh data. Last time we were talking about the results from the third quarter national survey, and today we're talking about the biggest metro level surprise, and that's Los Angeles. Some very surprising results as we talked about earlier, and here's why. Take a look at this chart showing annual revenue change by quarter in LA versus the US average. And here's what you see. Prior to third quarter, LA underperformed against the national norms in 14 of the past 15 quarters, and that goes all the way back to the end of 2007. And what that means is this, that LA was hit harder than most markets during the downturn. At worst, revenues in LA were falling twice as fast as they were nationally. And coming out of the gate in the recovery, they were much slower coming out. So very limited growth in the previous 4 quarters, even though the US overall did well. Then in third quarter, the story took a significant change, and no one saw this coming. In fact, we were in Southern California recently, and even analysts there were very pessimistic in their forecast for 2011. But look at that revenue growth number now, 6.7%. All of a sudden, LA is well outperforming the national average. So how do we get there? Well, let's start with the apartment demand story, and this number is impressive. More than 15,000 units were absorbed in LA in third quarter alone, a stunningly big number for a market that is getting only modest job growth according to the most recent data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And just how big is that demand number? It is 50% larger than the next best performance of any quarter over the past decade. And of course, a decade high in apartment demand means a big jump in occupancy. Occupancy shot up 1.4 points in the last 3 months. That's the first time in a decade that occupancy has climbed more than a point in a single quarter. And you can see on this chart that prior to 3Q, LA had been mired around the 94% mark for the past 2 years. So very little growth even as the US overall was on a steady incline. So with that big jump, overall occupancy is now at 96.4%, the best since 4Q07, and all but one submarket in Los Angeles have occupancy of 96% or better, and the only exception is Antelope Valley. And while that flood came in, apartment operators were also and suddenly increasing rental rates pretty significantly. Same-store rental rates increased 2.1% between June and September. That brought annual effective rent change to 4.8%, the best in more than 4 years for LA. So what's driving this big increase in revenues for Los Angeles' apartment market? Well, the big story here has been the top tier of newer, more expensive apartments. There's been a lot of new supply in recent years, and it hasn't leased up especially well, on an unusually high vacancy level in 2000s era apartments. And in third quarter, we saw tremendous progress, and now they're driving the growth. Year over year, occupancy is up 4.2 points in the 2000s niche, and effective rents are up 6%. And that's the best among LA's product age categories. And the submarket that really characterizes this overall storyline is in-town Los Angeles. A lot of new supply here in recent years, and there had been a good deal of struggle to lease up those, but 3Q was stunningly good, and those shaped the year-over-year numbers as you can see here. Occupancy up 5.2 points, up to 97.3%, and same-store rents up 8.1%, the best in the metro. So what does all this mean for the LA apartment sector going forward? Well, the reality check is that LA is still a bit behind where it was prior to the recession. Occupancy is still about a point below where it was before, and rental rates are still nearly 6% where they were prior to the recession. So we're thinking for the year ahead, it should be a very solid year for the LA's apartment sector, but probably won't get us back to where we were prior to the recession. So that wraps us up for LA. Until next time, for Apartment Market Dynamics and MPF Research, I'm Jay Parsons. Thank you for watching.
Want more? Go deeper with MPF Research's apartment market reports. From a national level, down to individual metros, to specific neighborhoods, MPF Research has been providing unparalleled apartment market intelligence to the multifamily industry for almost 5 decades. Learn more by contacting us at 877-284-4938 or visit www.npfresearch.com and click on Market Reports.